You guys obviously have Christian Wilkins on IR, so some other guys had to step up. He has a couple of veterans, and Adam Butler and John Jenkins. But what are you seeing from some of the younger guys in that room?
Younger guys, they're working really hard right now. Looking forward to the opportunity. I'm sure they're excited about that, and next man up mentality. But the thing I've seen from those guys is really the development of them, being consistent with their hands. They've been working that in practice. Today we won't have pads on today, but we'll get pads on eventually. And just really the biggest thing is about getting the violence of the strike. Jonah, those guys, Nesta, those guys working on the violence of the strike and making sure that as they strike their key, they're imposing their will a little bit. We got to make sure we do a good job there because we know the Steelers, this is a run-first team, and they do a good job, and it's been for years. Essentially the same offense, duo, mixing in some stretch from what Arthur's done in the past, but it's going to be a rock'em sock'em robots. I don't know if everybody gets that reference, but I hope they do. But that type of game, so we got to get that strike going for today.
Does it give you good feelings about the depth with all the injuries you've had that the depth can come through and play how you want it to?
Absolutely. You're always excited for the guys in the back part of the depth chart to be able to step up. And really, I give a credit to the position coaches, but it's also those assistant position coaches and the quality control coaches. They do a good job. The way AP has it set up in terms of our younger coaches, making sure throughout the week, throughout the season, training camp, they're spending extra time to develop those guys. For a bulk of us that came into the league, that's where we started. That's where I started when I was at New England. I was responsible, Matty P's like, Pat, make sure you get so-and-so ready for when their time steps up. And I think that's one of the ways you see how us young coaches, I'm not young anymore, I'm one of the old heads now, but that's how we were able to move up from quality control or assistant position coach to a position coach because you showed that you were able to train those guys and help with their development. So that's always exciting to see that.
When you look at Matthew Butler, guys will probably get a shot here because of what goes on with Christian. Will you talk about his development, please?
Yeah, you talk about from his rookie year to now, he's in year 3, and I've had him the whole time since I've been here. Face some adversity, like most people in this league, most people in life. Well wishes to the people down there in Florida dealing with that hurricane, but he's persevered, and he persevered through hard work. There's no shortcut to this thing. Wherever you start, undrafted, drafted, whatever it may be, you got to put the work in. And we talk a lot about that, improving each day. And the only way to improve each day is to put the work in and move that line ahead a little bit. And you've seen that with that young man, as he's, young man's life, he has kids. I believe he's married, whatever. I hope, oh God, I might get in trouble. Whatever. But he's developing as a young man. And, I'm real excited for him to get his opportunity to play. So I'm excited about that.
How much time are you spending on both quarterbacks this week now that Russell Wilson is back in practice and there's the possibility he could get some snaps?
It's our job to be prepared for all scenarios. So absolutely we got to be prepared for that. I'm sure Mike's not going to let us know anytime soon. We saw that he was a full participant with practice yesterday. Russell's a pro. I've known him since he was, a young kid in high school or middle school when I was at the University of Richmond. We coached his brother. But you got to get ready for both. But that's really not different from any week. To the extent, maybe, but you got to, us as a coaching staff, we got to know what could happen. It's a contact, it's a collision sport. We got to make sure we know what could happen if one of the quarterbacks go down. So we got to be responsible and make sure we cover all bases right there.
You talked about the Steelers obviously having their identity as a run-first team. We just talked about the threat that Najee Harris poses. How can you stop that in terms of, your linebackers and your front seven of really combating that?
There has to be a plan. There has to be a tackling plan, no different than a game plan for a man of his size, a man of his production, and I don't want to say stubbornness, but I guess they're going to run the ball. It doesn't matter. I forget what game it was. He had 3 yards rushing in the first half, 70 in the second half. They're not going to abandon it. And, that comes from the identity of the organization, the identity of the head coach, the identity of the offensive coordinator, who all 3 levels I have a ton of respect for what they do. I have a ton of respect for what Arthur does in terms of as a play caller. I have a ton of respect to how Coach Tomlin shapes the team into his image, the toughness, and then the organization and how they represent the city of Pittsburgh. I mean, it's a tough team that comes in. You know, it's a hard hat game like AP talks about, and you got to be ready for that. You got to be ready for that.
We're constantly talking about mental toughness, and during this time when there's so many injuries, and we understand the next man up mentality, but how do you focus, how do you make sure that these players are mentally tough and prepared?
We define it. What mental toughness is making, you know, the decision that's best for the team, not necessarily for you. You know, there's a quote from Coach Popovich that I use all the time because naturally, my natural, like how I am, my personality, I'm very moody. I'm very moody. But I have to combat that every day and realize it's not about me. You gotta get over yourself. That's what we talk about in terms of get over yourself and understand it takes a team to get this thing done. Whatever it is, it could be in any walk of life in terms of what you're thinking about with that. But we talk about what mental toughness is in terms of making the choice that's right for the team. That could be on an individual play, that could be in the weight room, that could be with your nutrition, that could be with the decisions you make off the field. So it starts there, and in terms of the next man up mentality, it's football. I mean, that's how it's going to go for all the teams in the league. So somebody's going to go down, somebody has to be ready to step up, and you got to really seize the opportunity. You got to seize it.
We've seen some struggles with tackling. Is there anything that you could put your finger on why that has been?
Starts with me. I'm in charge of the defense, and, you know, each week, you know, we got to do a better job in practice of what the focus is and the intentions. You got to pinpoint what the main issue is. You know, if there's 3 issues, let's chip away at 1. Then let's chip away at 2. Let's chip away at 3. So it starts with me as the defensive coordinator, and we got to figure out a way to get it right. We're working on it in practice. I can promise you that. And from there, then we got to go out there and execute. So we could talk about it and all that stuff like that. It's just got to show up. And this is the team where tackling has to show up. There has to be a tackling game plan. I think they're 10th in the league for yards after contact. You know, because the way Pittsburgh is built, there's big bodies, skill players, and then there's fast. And then luckily sometimes they get a mix of both. But like, if you're big and fast, Pittsburgh wants you. That's how they're built. It's AFC North football, and we got to be ready for that.
Following up on that question, I understand that it starts with you and it's your responsibility, but can you specifically tell us why do you think the team is struggling? Because that's not normal for this team.
It starts with me. I haven't done a good enough job. It starts with me. That's where it starts with me, and we're pinpointing the issues, and we're going to work on them, and we're going to, you know, relentlessly attack that at practice. And, you know, especially when your head coach was a tackling machine, you know he's going to be looking at me sideways if I would get this fixed. And I was like, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Two more, Vic and Adam.
What are the biggest challenges that Justin Fields presents to you as a coordinator?
You know, you see him at the line of scrimmage. I'm always impressed when the young guys, when they graduate to the point where the line of scrimmage, they're able to get in and out of checks. He's doing some of that. Has a big arm, and his ability to make plays when people are around him when he's throwing the ball. Like, you got to wrap this guy up. I'm not saying it's Ben Roethlisberger. Like, that was a whole tackling plan for him back in the day. But he could get rid of the ball from different angles with people around him. You got to get his arm down. You got to get him down. And obviously, as a runner, when the play breaks down, he can make some plays, especially in the red area. You see that in the red area, his ability to say, okay, it's not there. He goes. And we know that as a defense, that most quarterbacks, there's a certain level of them going to being fearless to run the ball down there in the red. So we got to be ready for that.
Jakorian is at the top of the league in terms of third down pass breakups. What have you seen from him as development on third downs? And it seems like he's at the point where he kind of wants the ball thrown his way on third down.
I think any corner wants action. The thing I've seen from JB is his development. It started with practice in terms of he's spending every moment out there on that field to train, to improve as a football player. There's no wasted time out there for that young man in terms of between special teams periods. He's over there with GA and Ricky. He's working on his technique at the line of scrimmage. Then it might go to between the offense going and us going with the show team. He's working on that. So there's a no wasted time on the field. Every rep counts for him, good or bad. Every rep counts for him, and he's out there training to get ready for Sunday as opposed to just out there practicing. That's Pop Warner stuff. If we were just out there practicing. all right?
Alright,
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Yep.
coach.